What's up, y'all? Welcome to our fifth interview. Today we will be interviewing Jeff Allen. Jeff Allen was drafted in the second round of the 2012 NFL draft by the Kansas City Chiefs after playing for Illinois. He played as a guard for Illinois and then the Chiefs and Texans in his 8-year NFL career. He is also a Cookie Society owner with his wife, so he's having good time retirement. And we'll get to that later in the episode. And then thank you, Jeff, for being on here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, so we can start this out. How was the NFL draft process right after your college career in Illinois?
Man, it was one of the most stressful yet rewarding times of my life. Ton of work. I went off from University of Illinois to Bradenton, Florida, to IMG Academy, and it was a big group. I mean, Russell Wilson was there, Bobby Wagner, Luke Kuechly, Kirk Cousins. I mean, I'm missing a lot. We had a lot of great players. Alfred Morris was a Cowboy at one point. Just a ton of talent down there. We all were, training and trying to reach our goals and get to our dreams. And fortunately, all of us had good careers, and some are still playing.
That's really incredible. The names. Did you go against any defenseman linemen that were at that facility with you, or did Bobby Wagner?
Did I go? Not any defensive linemen, but defenders definitely. Bobby Wagner, Luke Kuechly. I played both of them a few times throughout my career. Um, yeah, definitely were some of the best defenders that this game has seen in the NFL. Unfortunately, Luke got cut short due to injury. There's a ton of things that happen throughout your career that force you to stop. But if you're lucky enough, you can continue to play, into double digit years.
Yeah, and then just to talk about like the start of it, we mentioned the draft process. How was rookie camp? I know some rookies missed that
Yeah,
out on this past year, but what was it like for you?
it's an eye opener. It's your first welcome to the NFL moment. Luckily, it's all rookies, so everybody's kind of trying to fight to keep their head above water, and everything's moving fast. The coaches are throwing a lot at you. They're mentally testing you. It's on purpose. While you're in it, you don't know that, but as you get older, you figure like, hey, these guys are just being a holes for no reason. But it's all part of the madness. They're just mentally getting you tough and developing you so you can get caught up to speed when the veterans come in, and it was just great. It was great to get a lot of reps to learn the offense and meet some of the fellow rookies before the veterans came on.
Do you think that helped set you up for success early in your career?
Yeah, definitely gives you a head start. I mean, there's a lot of work to do as a rookie to be able to play in the NFL. One, you physically have to be ready, but most importantly, mentally. The game is so much different mentally. That's why it's more violent because guys are smarter. It's not that guys are faster physically, but guys are mentally faster because they can dissect things and they're preparing a little bit better. So pretty much if you're studying film what your opponent's doing. It's just a matter of who's going to get to their technique faster, who's going to make the least amount of mistakes. That's why there's always close games in the NFL.
That's a great point. Um, like we mentioned earlier, you played for Houston and Kansas City. What were the differences between those two organizations?
Um, Kansas City was more of I mean, obviously two different cities. Kansas City's it's a city, but it's more small town feel. Houston's a big city. There's a lot going on from an organization standpoint. Two different, I guess, philosophies as far as head coaches. Bill O'Brien is from the Patriot tree, so they're more, business oriented, more like locked in. Not really like, I guess, player coach relationship. More just we're all here to win. We're all here to do this. This is your job. Kansas City's a little bit more of a family feel. Coach Reed's super player friendly. Everyone loves him. Um, both obviously have success. I mean, you look at Belichick. I mean, he's arguably the greatest coach of all time, and Andy Reid's one of the best too. So it just depends on what your preference is.
That's a great point. Two different. I think we see Belichick, and that's harder to replicate. To kind of go down to offense coordinators,
Mm-hmm.
what was it like I just remember reading an article about Eric Bieniemy because, in my opinion, I think he's one of the great
Yeah,
offensive coaches, and I'm surprised he hasn't gotten a shot. So I didn't know Matt Nagy's got an opportunity. So has
Doug
Doug
Peterson.
Peterson. But what were your thoughts interacting with those guys? Did you interact with them more than Andy Reid?
Yeah, so Doug was my offensive coordinator for 3 seasons while I was in Kansas City. Nagy was the QB coach there, so we didn't have much interaction, but he was always a solid guy. Doug was a great coach, great dude, very likable guy. Don't know about his tenure in Philly and what went on there, but my time with him in Kansas City was great. Eric Bieniemy, he's awesome, man. He's definitely probably one of the greatest leaders I've been around. He makes you want to run through a brick wall. He's the guy that's going to rally the troops and make sure everybody's focused and in line. And one of his biggest things is accountability. He's not afraid of checking a guy, but at the same time, when he checks you, he gives you a reason why, and he teaches. A lot of coaches um, kind of forget that part. College, NFL, where rip you a new one, and then that's the end of it. For him, he might rip you a new one, but there's always a reason for it, and he'll explain it to you. At the end of the day, it's a teaching moment. I think that's his greatest quality, him being such a great teacher and a leader.
That's definitely what someone's looking for in a
Yeah,
coach. That's a great point about what you make. He's harsh on you because Austin, I've not at your level, of course, but like
yeah,
middle school coaches getting mad at you is scary, but definitely a pound in the back's helpful.
definitely.
Um, for was there a consistent pregame ritual that you had?
Yeah, for me, I would always, no matter where we were playing, whether on the road or at home, I'd always get to the stadium 5 hours before kickoff. And the first 30 minutes, I'm just walking around the field. And I'm just visualizing, thinking I'm not stretching, I'm not doing anything. I'm just literally walking around, looking in the stands, touching the grass, and just soaking it all in. Then I go into the locker room, I change out into my pregame gear, go out, get a little stretch, sweat, listening to my music, um, just going rehearsing some of the blocks that I might see during the game and kind of shadowing them. And then kickoffs here before you know it, you go out with the team, you get your team pregame workout, and then within 30 minutes, there's kickoff.
Yeah, you
What
speak about
was your
that.
favorite?
How was the atmosphere different in the playoffs between Houston and Arrowhead? Was it a big difference
I
during the
was
playoffs?
honestly, yeah. I mean, Arrowhead's historically known for the loud sounds and the crowd noise, but in the playoffs, it's at a totally different level. And for me, I was in Kansas City when I guess we weren't winning a lot, and then all of a sudden we were good. So the fans had something to cheer about. So it was really cool to see that progression, and then finally win a playoff game. For the first time in like 30 years. Then I left for Houston, and then they were kind of in a similar situation, just because they're such a new organization. That I mean, we were still winning games. We won the divisions. We won a playoff game while I was there. So the fans were always loud. They were always excited. They were similar from the standpoint of having two teams that were, winning some games for the first time in a long time.
You mentioned the atmosphere and then just walking around the field. What has been your favorite field or moment of in that pregame ritual?
My favorite field is Lambeau Field in Green Bay. It's super cool because you're literally most stadiums are kind of in their own area, kind of maybe they're downtown or maybe they're secluded somewhere where there's really nothing around. Green Bay is literally in the middle of a neighborhood, like a residential neighborhood. So you see people outside their houses grilling, people parking outside front on their lawns, and most fans are from the opposing team. They're really rude. They're welcoming, like they're waving at you, like "Good luck, man. Have a good game." So I always thought that was pretty cool, and they've always been a great team. So for a fan base to welcome a team in, a competitor, not be the usual, it kind of throws you off, but you kind of appreciate it.
It's definitely something. Just as a Cowboy fan, you see the Eagles fans,
Yeah,
but be greeted by fans is in a welcoming way is very nice, and it's definitely a field I've heard about Lambeau Field being great. It's something I definitely want to see, but you talked about like preparing. How did you prepare for elite pass rushers? Because even in your college days, you were facing some tough players because
Yeah.
you were right there at the time of J.J. Watt.
hmm I mean, I played some. I mean, I played all the great ones. Luckily, I've had some success. That's why I was able to play so long. But it starts early in the week, with your film preparation. Understanding down the distance. That's one of the most critical things, especially when you're dealing with pass rush. Knowing schematically what the opposing defense is doing, that kind of gets you a beat on what gap containment a guy has, and then just knowing their individual tendencies. What are they doing on the right versus the left? Because some guys can do one move on the right side of the line, but they can't do it on the left. So I literally would have a chart during the week, like, okay, when they're lined up the left defensive end or D tackle, they spend this percentage of times, they rip, they do this, but on the right, they don't do it at all. It's a very low percentage. So if he's lined up over there and I'm playing on the right for some reason, I don't really have to worry about that move. So it's kind of like probability. You're playing the odds, the down and distance versus their tendencies, and I'm like, okay, this is the down and distance. This is what they typically do schematically as a defense. This is what he typically does. He's doing one of three things. You can kind of get a beat on his stance, um, outside foot back, inside foot back. There's a lot of details within it that, as a pro, you kind of get a tip and you make a safe, educated guess.
That's good. Excellent description. How long did it take you to get into that? Like, okay, I need to know this detail and get that type of description.
It took me about 3 years. My first couple of years, it was just literally fighting to catch up and then hope that I block my guy. That was just my first couple of years in the league. And then by year three, I kind of caught up physically and mentally. I was just starting to ask more questions. And then my O line coach in Kansas City, he's such a great teacher. He would start teaching us things that were kind of not traditional to teach offensive linemen. We start learning about coverages. We start learning about different things and responsibilities of the entire defense and how they all intertwine. So if a defense is in the cover three, you know exactly what gap each person has. You know how that linebacker is gonna spill on a certain play if you're pulling, or what landmark he should be in pre-snap, or there's something off if he isn't in the spot. That means there's a blitz coming. Someone's going to replace him. So you kind of it's like looking at a clock on the wall, and it's a rotation. You look at the back end of the defense. Usually traditionally it's too high, but if you start seeing that safety go one high, someone coming down, someone's replacing them, and it's all gap responsibility. So you start looking at the game like that, it kind of helps you. Quarterbacks look at it
Yeah,
like that too.
so
And that's
It's a great analogy.
yeah. But we've talked about a lot about preparation. How would you prepare during a right before a season?
right before a season. I would always go away to Arizona. So my first half of my career, I was in Arizona. Trained at this facility. It was initially PEP. Then it went off to O line performance. It was a guy named Charles Bentley, and he had a guy under him named Duke Manyweather, who ended up coming to Dallas, and he was working for the Cowboys for a little bit. Then he started doing his own thing. So I followed Duke to Dallas because it was close to Houston, and my wife's family was here, and I thought it would be good to spend a little bit of time with family because we had kids at the time. So um, it was just good to be close to family and train while also enjoying that time with them during the off season.
That's great to definitely on the road. Like now it's going to be a 17-game season.
Mm-hmm.
Great to get with your family. Um, Speaking of your family, your wife and you, um, Cookie Society. By the way, Austin, I've had your cookies.
Thank you.
They're the best cookies we have ever had.
Yeah, they're
Appreciate it.
insane. Yeah, they're really good.
How did how did the idea to create the bakery come up?
Well, that's part of the reason I retired. That's my sugar mama. But no, back in 2017, we were in New York, just visiting, and we're huge foodies. So anytime we travel, we go to eat. Like we just try to find the best spots in whatever city we're in. And then my wife's a huge like baker, so she loves going to bakeries. And New York's like the mecca of food. So we found this bakery called Levain Bakery, and we stood in line for 30 minutes, and I was complaining the entire time. When we get to the front, and I'm like, we waited this long just for cookies? Are you kidding me? And I tasted the cookie, and it was literally one of the best things I've ever had in my life. And my wife, she played soccer in college, so we both were athletes, so we're super competitive. So knowing that, it was like reverse psychology. I looked at her and said she couldn't make anything like it, knowing she was going to go home to try to get close to it, if not better. And she went home and she tried to replicate what they did, and she couldn't quite get it. And she's like, you know what? I give up on that. I'm gonna just make my own cookie, my perfect cookie, and me. And she made the cookie. You ate a cookie society. And once we tasted that, we are like, this is amazing. I started giving it to everybody, mailmen, friends, neighbors, teammates, guys in the locker room wanted to buy it. And I was like, we should probably start a business. Everyone loves them.
Wow. So was just trying to recreate that specific cookie
Yeah,
and
she
not,
was like, they do like a thicker, like really big. Do you ever see like those stuffed thick cookies? Their
yeah.
cookies are kind of like that. And she was trying to do that just to see if she could do it. And then she's like, you know, I'm going to make my perfect cookie. And she made her cookie, and it's totally different than theirs, but it's awesome.
It's also probably better. Just,
They, they got good cooking, man. I'm not going to give us too much props, but
well,
we're equal. I'll say it. I'll be political about it.
So how hard was it to manage this during the pandemic? A business that was this profitable.
Man, it was tough. No one planned on the pandemic, so I mean, we were all excited to start a business and open our first retail location, and we were scheduled to open in March of 2020, and then COVID hit, so no one had any like idea what was going on. There was no certainty, and we were like, should we open? Should we not? I don't want to, open a business and then it fails, and then all these people are dependent on us. Ultimately, we made the decision, since we were considered essential and we could be open just to give people an opportunity to work. And it worked out. The community rallied behind us. Um, Obviously, as a business, we had to implement some things that we never thought we'd have to implement. But it made us better. It forced us to grow really fast. It actually accelerated us on the back end, just to do some things on the business side, um, just to make us better. It forced us to be better, and in a weird way, it helped our business.
and it's working out well. Of course, it's about a year and a month or two
Yeah,
months.
year and a month. So we're April 18th, 2020. So it's been a year and almost 3 weeks. Or yeah. So
Yeah.
it's been really cool to see the growth. It's been really cool to see just the notoriety we've been getting. The amount of people that love the cookie, the repeat customers, the community engagement. Um, it's just been unbelievable to think that something that started in our kitchen, one of my wife's ideas, has turned into this.
Well, congratulations on the 1 year and
Thank you.
3 weeks. Um, we appreciate the interview. And if you mentioned social media presence, how's the Instagram working? Because I see tons of posts.
Yes, our Instagram. I mean, if you don't follow us, you can follow us at Cookie Society. Someone's trying to open my door. I'm sorry about it. At Cookie Society on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we just load up content. We let you see the cookie. We're not trying to sell anything to you, but you're gonna want to buy something if you follow us. So it's just a
Yeah,
bunch of great cookie picks. Yeah, it's very indulgent.
yeah. So make sure to follow them, and y'all restocked on May 1st. So
Yeah,
hopefully y'all
so
haven't run out
we're
in a few
sold out.
days.
We're sold out right now, but we will be restocking tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. So we restock every Wednesday at 5 p.m. And we usually sell out after restocking within 3 days.
Wow, that's just incredible. Um, and then any personal, what's your Twitter and Instagram
Yeah,
outside
so
of cooking?
you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and it's Jeff Allen, Jeffalen. 71 at cookiesociety.com.
Well, thank you again, Jeff. We really appreciate it. Any final thoughts?
Man, I appreciate you guys having me. I love what y'all doing. Keep it up. And yeah, I have a podcast coming this summer.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yes, it's me and a former teammate, and it's Kansas City Sports Network. It's a local thing in Kansas City, and it's going to be called One on One with Mike and Jeff, and we're just talking football. So
That's
if you want to check that out during the summer, we film our pilot episode in May, so at the end of this month, and then in June our first official episode will kick off.
well.
We don't have a date on that yet, but it'll be sometime in June.
Well, we'll make sure to spread out the word, and
Yeah, we'll definitely have to
I'll
check
you
that
can
out.
count.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely check it out, man. And this is my first time doing anything like it,
Okay.
and hopefully I'm good at it, and hopefully people like listening to me.
Well, we appreciate it. It was a great interview. People listening, follow Cookie Society, follow Jeff on Twitter, and make sure to check out for the podcast. Thanks again for
Yep.
listening to Outsiders Opinions.